What's up, guys? Colin Stucker here, founder, CEO, Wild Foods Co. Wearing my new shirt, which we're not going to talk about in this video, but sugar is a primary driver of obesity and modern Western disease, followed closely by grains and then vegetable and seed oils. And so if you want to learn more about that, check out the links below, watch some of my other videos. Get the sugar out of your diet. That's just what it comes down to. Stop feeding your kids sugar. You want to lose weight, you want to get fit, you want to do anything, you want to live longer, remove sugar from your diet as much as you can, especially when it says ingredients, sugar. When it's added as an ingredient, that's, okay, I know we're here for books, but I just had to put that out there because that's why I do whatever I do. That's my wild mission, is to help people get off sugar, get off the standard American diet, and live longer and more prosperous by optimizing their food choices. Now, today is about how to read 100 books a year. The reality is, most of these books, and I'll tell you why, I don't read the physical book. In the mornings, I've been doing it as a habit so I can talk to you guys about it, but I do most of my reading, which we're going to find out in the video. I'm going to give you 3 of my best practices on how to read 100 books a year. Probably even more than that once you get the habit down. It becomes super easy. Some people might disagree with these. This isn't the Tai Lopez style where you like read the front and the cover. I mean, I'm talking you read the entire book, right? So let's get to it. Number 1, start with a morning routine. Now, I would probably say 3 to 5 pages every morning. I like to do philosophy. I like to do anything that's motivational. And so you can get, any one of these books pretty much. I do in my morning routine. We got The Magic of Thinking Big. We got Epictetus. We got The Art of Living, which is Epictetus, which is Stoicism. I'm very heavily influenced by Stoicism. We got Epictetus in Shindrian. I don't really know how to say that actually. Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. And then we got On Shortness of Life by Seneca. Super amazing book. And you'll notice these are all shorter books. And so that's going to help you read 100 books a year, is when some of your books are shorter. I don't recommend trying to read 500 to 1,000 page novels because it's going to be kind of hard to read 100 books a year using this strategy anyways. The Monk Who Sold Ferrari, a really awesome book that I just read, and I bought about 4 versions in physical form so I can go to friends and for gifts. And then we have a modern, this is actually the best translation of Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. This is the Stephen Hayes, I believe it's Stephen Hayes? Gregory Hayes, okay? We got the manual. This is actually a really great translation. I really like this. I'm really impressed with this. This is the manual by Epictetus. Again, it's translation, it's an interpretation. Now, every morning, you're going to read 3 to 5 pages as part of the morning routine. And then what you do is, like what I've been getting through Magic of Thinking Big, is you're going to grab a pen and you're going to highlight important passages so that the next time you read this or peruse this or skim this, you have all the great quotes in there. And I highly recommend rereading books, but I don't think you have to actually reread the whole thing. I think if you, especially nonfiction, like obviously fiction is a different story, but when it comes to nonfiction, if you highlight and then you reskim and go back to all the best quotes and the best passages, that's like rereading the really good parts of the book again, and you're keeping those ideas fresh in your mind. And so that's kind of a side strategy. When you reread books, reread the highlights. Kindle has a great highlight option. Obviously Audible doesn't. Physical books do as well, okay? So that is the first thing. Every morning, start with 2 to 3 to 4 pages a day to get your day started. Start as your morning routine and don't skip it. That's going to add right there 25 books a year minimum if you do that, maybe even more. Strategy 2, you're going to need this, which I know you have. If you're watching this, you have this pretty much. You're going to go then open the app, the Audible app, and then you're going to play.
Possible. This is a divergent exercise that has you explore a number of different resolutions. The final stage is to assess the prototypes.
That's 2x speed, okay? Most people, if they're not used to listening to podcasts or audiobooks in 2x speed, that sounds a little crazy to them. So what you do is you start on, let's say, 1.25 speed, right?
Test different possible answers before moving ahead.
This is slow to me.
This final stage is
I feel like he's talking like
an answer that is not only elegant in concept,
okay? So then let's try 1.5.
but also implementable and implemented in practice. As Peter Drucker said, unless a decision has been translated to action,
it's got a good cadence.
These 2 stages rely heavily on
once you get used to it, once your ears acclimate to it and the information get into your brain on a consistent basis, even that will become slow, right? And then you get up to 2x speed.
With others to develop new answers and test them with users.
Actually, I think that was 2x speed. So let's look at 1.5.
Creative thinking process appears to be linear.
Yeah.
In practice, it isn't quite so simple.
That's slow.
Often, the best insights come only in the repetition of key substeps.
Okay.
Returning to
Now, some books, if I'm trying to breeze through them,
group stages as your understanding shifts and deepens. Iteration is an inherent and important part of the process. For now, though, let's assume a stepwise progression through stages and explain each in turn.
that's 3x speed. It just, if you get used to it, and for certain narrators and for certain pieces of content, that's doable, right? Some people might say, oh, you don't absorb anything, whatever. I call BS on that, right? Your subconscious picks up on so many things that you don't even fathom, right? That's why you can like literally listen to stuff while you're sleeping. You could be absorbing things in your subconscious. So don't play that game. Don't make excuses, right? If you got to reread some books, reread some ideas, yes. If you really want to have really tangible information that you really need tactically immediately, then sure. Read it slower, take your time, reread, whatever. But if you're just trying to get a lot of books in, build your subconscious, build your awareness, build your lattice work of knowledge, which is really the point of reading 100 books a year without spending too much extra time on it, then you got to use strategies like this, okay? So start at 1.25 speed, okay? And then bump it to 1.5, then do 1.75. Can you do 1.75? No. Then he goes to 2, and then, I mean, you know, I do most books around 2, unless it's a really slow narrator and the content's kind of basic, I'll bump it up. But when it gets that fast, you have to be listening. Like, you can't be driving and then, you know, paying attention to the cars around you, whatever, because you will detach from your ears to what you're doing. Like, it's kind of hard to explain, but you basically won't be as aware, and the content will pass you by. Now, you might get some benefit subconsciously because it's still going into your ears, and so, you know, there's some research around that, and you might want to debate that or whatever, but fundamentally, don't be dogmatic with this. Like, getting 100 books a year in, even if you had a 75% retention, or let's say even a 50% retention, you still read 50 full books a year with near 100% retention. Dun, 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 dun. Got my AirPods. Okay, so you're going to put these on like this. Because these fell out of my ear, and one busted, and it cost me $80. And they never stayed in that well. So I got these things on Amazon for about $7. Okay. And then you pop these in. Perfect. Now what I do, you get in the habit of doing this. Driving, getting out of your car, walking somewhere, walking back somewhere, walking to the bathroom even. Pop these in, put the Audible on, and get reading in those downtimes that you usually do nothing else, okay? Now, you can use the same concept if you want to listen to more podcasts. Like, I think podcasts are great, but since I've been making the goal of 100 books a year, I try to do more reading, and I've noticed that I just get so much more benefit out of it. Like, books are just better, guys. It's better content. It's edited. It's proofread. The content has been vetted. It's researched. All these things. Books are just better. So if you are a podcast listener, that's great, but I would recommend adding more books in there, or more audiobooks, for example, in the time you would be listening to podcasts, and just watch all the benefits. There's a myriad of benefits. I'm not going to talk about them in this video, but if you're watching this video, you probably already understand why reading's so awesome. Those are my 3 tips for reading 100 books a year. Let's kind of recap. So we got morning routine, physical book, and of course, I also have a nighttime routine, right? So let's not forget that. The nighttime routine is same thing. I basically grab fiction, and I like to read fiction, and I read until I fall asleep. And I usually get depending on how tired I am, 3 to 5 pages in, you know. If it's a really engaging book, I might be up for an hour and a half. Like when I was reading Red Rising, I literally was up to like 7 in the morning reading that damn thing, which is why we named our son after the main character, Darrow. So morning routine, nighttime routine, you're going to get about 5 to 15 pages in each time you do that. Then you're going to use Audible every time you're driving, you're walking, you're commuting, just anything. And if you have a lot of commute time, guys, you could literally use Audible on your commute time and read 100 books a year, even at like 1 or 1.5 speed. That's how powerful it is. So get something like these, because I've noticed that with wires, it just isn't the same. And these things, if you want for the extra stability, get them in your ear and get the Audible going. Just build the habit. And once you get in the habit of doing that, you will fly through books. Then you got to get the Audible membership. You got to make sure you're getting the max credits. I really wish they had something that was like 5 or 10 credits a month. I would max that thing out, because I'm literally buying. I'm buying at least 80 books a year on Audible, easy, for sure, right? I hope this was useful. I hope you're going to start reading more, even if it's 50 books a year, even if it's 25. Think about it, guys. You could read 50 books in a year, and you've read more books than most people read in their entire lifetime. Not to mention the younger generation. The younger generation isn't reading as much, right? They're on social media, or they're doing short form news content and like bloggy articles and low quality crap like that. Imagine how much more worldly, how much more wise you're going to be when you're getting deep into like the old books that have stood the test of time, that have the greatest ideas in the world, and you are reading those things 50, 75, 100 books a year. I just can't think of a more valuable life skill. And honestly, if you decide not to go to college and you just took up reading, it's kind of like what Matt Damon said in Good Will Hunting. Like, all you got to basically have is some late charges from the library to get the same education you could in college. Let's not debate that. I dropped out of college, so I'm biased, sure. But either way, you have to be a self-learner, a self-educator. If you don't educate in some form, YouTube videos, it could be reading, it could be going to groups and meetups and like learning from other people. You have to be curious and you have to be a learner, or you won't have the best life you could. There's just no way around it. And so one of my favorite ways to level up in life and to be better at it and to be just better at everything, like talking on YouTube, being able to spit out quotes here and there, being able to engage with people and have good conversations. Everything in my life is better when I read more books, okay? So I hope that is useful, and I hope you start reading more. Thanks for watching.
Listen.